Let me tell you a little bit about U.S. history from long ago. About 15 years ago, the dumbest politician to take the national stage up until that point was a woman named Sarah Palin, the former governor of Alaska, and at that time, the Republican vice presidential candidate. In 2009, she took to Facebook to bash the Obama administration's feeble attempts to provide health care to at least some more Americans through the Affordable Care Act. She wrote, in part, the Democrats promise that a government healthcare system will reduce the cost of healthcare. But as the economist Thomas Sowell has pointed out, government healthcare will not reduce the cost. It will simply refuse to pay the cost. And who will suffer the most when they ration care? The sick, the elderly, and the disabled, of course. The America I know and love is not one in which my parents or my baby with Down syndrome will have to stand in front of Obama's death panel so his bureaucrats can decide, based on a subjective judgment of their level of productivity in society, whether they are worthy of health care. Such a system is downright evil. And yeah, that level of productivity in society comment really does call forth RFK Jr.'s recent statements about autistic people and their level of worth. But let's go on. The death panel phrase really took off like wildfire, despite having no basis in reality. Nearly half of Republicans surveyed at the time said that they thought it was true, and the lie nearly derailed the ACA. Every accusation is a confession, of course, which we knew at the time. It was no secret that the actual death panels already existed in the boardrooms of our nation's health insurance giants. True single-payer health insurance would save millions of lives and dollars, but Republicans have only ever cared about which lobbyist is paying them the most money. But everything that was just slightly hidden beneath the surface back in 2009 is now fully on display because over time the Republicans have only become stupider and more shameless. And so now they're just openly bragging about literally wanting the average American to die. They're cutting Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all programs that keep people alive and cost pennies compared to what we spend on, for instance, the bombs currently dropping on Palestinians. And now they also want us to die from COVID again. Last week, the new psychopaths running the FDA published a piece in the New England Journal of Medicine misleadingly titled An Evidence-Based Approach to COVID-19 Vaccination. I say it's misleading because all of the evidence we have to date shows that the COVID vaccine, like every other vaccine currently approved across the planet, is safe and effective. However, the data shows that immunity begins to wane after about 6 months, so an evidence-based approach would be to encourage every single person to get vaccinated twice per year before expected surges, with vaccines continually updated to fight the most recent variants. And people are more likely to only get one shot at a time, so an evidence-based approach would also see them getting the combined flu-COVID vaccine that Moderna is fine-tuning. And of course, because we are all safer when as many people as possible are vaccinated, so we are protected by herd immunity, everyone who can get a vaccine should get one free of charge, no cost to the person getting the vaccine. But none of that is in this paper. In fact, because of this paper, Moderna has shelved their otherwise successful flu-COVID vaccine, telling Reuters that they don't think they'll get approval now, so why bother? Because in this paper, Vinay Prasad and Martin Makary announced that they will be restricting access to COVID-19 boosters to people over the age of 65 and those with one or more risk factors that put them at high risk for severe COVID-19 outcomes, as described by the CDC. For all healthy persons, those with no risk factors for severe COVID-19, between the ages of 6 months and 64 years, the FDA anticipates the need for randomized controlled trial data evaluating clinical outcomes before biologics license applications can be granted. Insofar as possible, when approving a COVID-19 vaccine for high-risk groups, the FDA will encourage manufacturers to conduct randomized controlled trials in the population of healthy adults as part of their post-marketing commitment. Here's the thing. COVID vaccines already went through randomized controlled trials in the population of healthy adults. It happened back in 2020. It involved thousands of volunteers, and they were so wildly successful that the Trump administration was able to fast-track them to get them into the arms of the general public. But even in that case, even if pharma companies could do lightning fast RCTs each year, it wouldn't be fast enough to get the boosters into arms before the disease spikes. Plus, it would be insanely expensive. And because we do not have single-payer healthcare here in the United States, the pharma companies would pass that expense on to us. And while the RCT is going on, millions of people won't have access to a vaccine that we know for a fact is safe and effective. Prasad and Macri know all this, of course. Prasad, who now heads the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research at the FDA, is a hematologist, oncologist, and a professor at University of California at San Francisco. He's not stupid, but as the New Republic noted in a piece last week, he is a disgusting, sadistic monster. On social media, he's called public health leaders lying pieces of shit, accused the CDC of lying about masks, saying that masking during wildfires is an untreated mental illness plaguing public health, said COVID restrictions are a path to Nazism, and said we'd probably be better off as a result of not having the FDA, where he now heads a very important department. He also told people do not report COVID cases to schools and do not test yourself if you feel ill, suggesting that it was better for the virus to tear through our population of children at a time when thousands of kids every day were being hospitalized for the disease. As bad as it was needing to keep kids home from school, it unequivocally saved many lives of both kids and their caregivers. Prasad's advice was basically advocating for people to die, including children. As public health experts have noted, Prasad and Macri also got a lot wrong in their paper, which is impressive considering how short and to the point it is. Sabina Vora-Miller and Liz Marnick point out that the paper's comparison of the United States with other countries' recommendations on COVID vaccines is totally screwed up. For most of the countries, they actually list the wrong recommendations entirely or they misrepresent them. For instance, just to go in alphabetical order, they say that Australia recommends that only people who are 65 years or older or high risk should get the COVID booster. But according to the Australian government's Department of Health, Disability and Aging, adults aged 18 to 64 years who do not have severe immunocompromise are recommended to receive a single primary dose of COVID-19 vaccine and can consider a further dose every 12 months based on individual preference and a risk-benefit assessment. Older adults and those who are immunocompromised can consider a booster every 6 months, which again is the actual science-based policy. And it's worth noting that none of these countries outright restricts adults from getting vaccinated, which is what the FDA is now proposing. Vora-Miller and Marnick also point out that Prasad and Macri are not recommending the booster for pregnant people, despite the fact that the countries they cite do, because again, that is the science-based policy. So yeah, the FDA is now rotten from the top down, and thanks to this, more people absolutely are going to die from preventable illnesses like flu and COVID. Here is the only good news I've got, that little section of their paper where they write that the only people who can get a booster are those with one or more risk factors that put them at high risk for severe COVID-19 outcomes, as described by the CDC, Figure 2. Here is Figure 2. As you can see, those risk factors include asthma, smoking, current and former, pregnancy, bit of a contradiction there, and my personal favorites, obesity, depression, and physical inactivity. Wow, is it 2008 and I need to get my weed from a doctor? Because boy, am I feeling so depressed after quitting smoking that I can't even get out of bed. And yeah, to be clear, I am suggesting you go out and lie. I try to stay clear of outright recommending unethical or illegal, possibly fraudulent behavior here, but fuck it. They've declared war on you. You personally, they want you to die, and you have every right to protect yourself in whatever way you can. Go lie your ass off if that's what you need to reduce your chances of catching a virus that could negatively impact your lungs, your brain, your employment, and your life. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.